Are you in a state where you can put your side-by-side on the road? Well, today we're going to be showing you how to install SuperATV's auto canceling turn signal kit on this Honda Pioneer 1000. Let's get to it. What's up everybody, I'm Braden. Welcome back to my garage, and today we're going to be showing you how to install SuperATV's auto canceling turn signal kit on this Honda Pioneer 1000. Here's the tools, so let's get right to it. So the first thing you're going to do is start the disassembly process. So we're going to go underneath the dash here in the center of the footwell of the machine. And there's going to be two 5mm Allen screws. We're going to remove that and then remove the panel. Now we're going to remove the seat. What you're going to do is go to the center of the seat, feel underneath the cushion, and you're going to find a latch. Pick up on that latch, lift up on the seat, and then remove it completely from the machine and set it aside. Once the seat's removed, you're going to see that there's a rubber cover. Go ahead and remove all the push pins securing that rubber cover, and then flip the rubber mat out of our way so we can gain access to run our wiring. Now we're going to dump the bed on the machine, grab the lever, lift up on it, and then your bed will dump. So now that the bed's dumped, we're going to remove the 4 push pins to remove the panel that says not a step on it. If your machine doesn't say not a step, it is the black panel that is on top of the hump on the floorboards. Once you've removed the hood, you're going to want to locate the rear portion of the wiring harness. It'll be labeled C13, C14, as well as C15. What you're going to do is drop it down right behind the backside of the painted plastic. Now there's going to be a rubber panel here. What you're going to do is just reach in, there's a small hook, just unhook it. It's very easy to do, and yours may not even be completely hooked in. And you're just going to drop this wiring harness down, and we're going to guide it down to the hole of where the panel was that we previously removed, and then we'll start routing our wiring harness towards the rear. So once we've got our harness down there, let's take the rest of our slack, all of our front portion of the harness, lay it up here, and we're going to go to the inside of the machine and start pulling wires through. Then we're just going to take this wiring harness, route it underneath the floorboard, reach down through underneath the seat, grab a hold of it, and just continue feeding it towards the rear. So now that we have our wiring harness fed all the way to the rear, we need to locate the factory connection. We're going to want to unplug it, and our turn signal kit will plug directly into it. So I'm just going to kind of get the wires ran with the factory wiring harness. This is very, very important that you do this when installing this kit, because it does have a dump bed on it. So you definitely don't want to put these wires in a place where they're either going to get burned up by the exhaust or get smashed whenever you dump the bed. So the best bet with that is if you see factory wiring, always route it with the factory wiring. It's there for a reason. All right, now that we've got this somewhat in position here, obviously we're gonna come back through and tidy everything up. We need to grab some compressed air of some sort. We have an air compressor here at the shop and an air blower. So we're gonna blow this connection. This is the rear taillight connection. It's gonna be kind of hard to show you guys where it's at, but what you wanna do is follow the factory wiring harness that runs underneath the bed right in this location all the way to the rear portion of the bed. It'll have a Christmas tree holding it on to the frame of the bed. Just pop it off there, it's easy, just put your fingers behind it, pull on it, and then you want to blow that connector out before you try to unplug it. That's going to ensure that you're not getting any dirt or anything that you don't want into that connector. Then we'll just reach up in, unplug the connection. You're just going to firmly push down on the tab, push in, push them together as you're pushing on the tab, and then just pull them straight apart. Then grab the SuperATV harness, and you're going to plug the male end to the female end of the factory harness, and then vice versa. And you always want to make sure you hear that click when plugging these connectors in. If it doesn't click, that means it's not fully seated. We're just going to feed these right back over to where the factory connection was. And then this extra lead that you have here on your turn signal kit harness is for a license plate light. So if you wanted to add on a license plate light, this is what this is for. If not, you can just zip tie it out of the way. No big deal. The kit will still function without it. So now that we're up here at the front of the machine, what we're gonna do is locate the connectors that say C11, C12, and then also the fuse holder that'll say FL1. This connector here is gonna plug into the factory cigarette outlet, the accessory port. What you're gonna do is reach your hand down in behind the dash, and you can go inside to kind of figure out the location of where that cigarette outlet is. On the back side, it's gonna have a connector. You're gonna push down on the tab and then pull it out to release it. If you're having trouble with it, all you're gonna have to do is go in there, loosen the nut, and you can pop the cigarette outlet into the machine, and then you can get your hands on it to make it a little easier for you. And once you get it unplugged, you're just gonna wanna take your wiring harness, route it back inside of here. It's just like the rear, where it was male to male, or male to female, female to male. Now we're gonna grab the control box as well as 2 of the self-tapping screws. They're gonna be Phillips heads. On the passenger side, you're gonna see there's a little lip right before it goes to the black abyss in the underneath the dash. You're gonna take this control box and you're gonna mount it right there with the self-tapping screws. Make sure those are tight. You just don't want to over tighten them because you are tightening into plastic. You're gonna grab the main wiring harness. It's gonna have 2 big connectors. These connectors are gonna plug in to the control box. Now it's time to start running the left and right connectors for our turn signal indicators. Now we're gonna locate our connectors that are labeled C6 and C5. These are gonna be yellow, so they're gonna go on the driver's side. We're gonna route them behind all of the factory wiring. Then we're gonna route them down towards the shock mount. There we go. So just as a reference, yellow is always left and green is always right because there's an R in green and there's an L in yellow. And we're gonna go over here to the passenger side and do the same thing. Now we're gonna come to the passenger side. If you look up into the inner fender well, you're gonna see a bracket that has 2 bolts right next to where the radiator fan bolts on. You're gonna remove one of those bolts and attach the horn to it. So in the kit, we provide a horn as well as a bracket. This bracket is just straight. You can bend it if you feel the need to, but for this install, you're not gonna have to. And there's also a nut. What I like to do is figure out how I want this horn to look and sit in the machine. I like to just set it up just like this. So I'll go ahead and tighten this nut down on the bracket. And then we're gonna go up inside of here and remove one of the bolts in this bracket. I've already ran my wiring down. You're just gonna route the horn wiring, which is just the 2 spade connectors. You're gonna route it the same way that you ran the wiring for the 2 indicator lights up front here. So go ahead and make that connection. They just pop right onto the connectors. It's very easy to do. And then put your factory bolt back through your provided bracket for the horn. So we'll line that up. And with the horn, it doesn't matter which way you plug it in. Hold the horn in position. Go ahead and retighten that factory bracket down, and now your horn's installed. All right, so the next step in this installation is to get the lights mounted to the machine. So on the website, we have a drop down to where you can choose a 6 or 12-inch LED strip if you want to. You don't have to. You can utilize the indicator lights that come in the kit. I'm gonna show you how to install one of these. Now, there's 2 different ways you can go about this. One, you could lay it up here and you could just route your wiring down and around, just like that. Or you could unpin the connector, drill a small hole and put it through there, or you can take the step bit, drill a hole big enough, slide the connector through. That way, if you ever wanted to take them off, you don't have to reach in there and unpin the terminals, and it's just a little bit more difficult. So for this one, what I'm gonna do is figure out where I wanna lay these out at. I'm thinking right here in this vicinity. And then I'm gonna drill a hole over in this area here, large enough for this connector to go through. And then what I'll do when I install this LED strip, I'll scoot it all the way over to where that wire is running into the hole, but we're covering up as much as the hole as we possibly can. And always check, make sure you're not gonna drill into anything. Something just like that. So we'll go ahead and peel the backing. We already prepped the surface here. You want to make sure that you get your surface as clean as you possibly can before you go to install this. We're not going to make our connection yet, but it's pretty self-explanatory at this point. You would take these and plug them in just like so to these connectors. They plug right in, they snap together, but we're not going to do that yet. I want to get my other turn signal indicator put in up here. It's looking pretty good. Slide our connector through. Then the indicator. So indicator light's right there, it's installed, it's looking good. So now we can go ahead and make our connections on this side, and then we're just gonna repeat the same exact steps for the opposite side. So now it's time to cut holes for our rocker switches. If you don't already have a pre-existing hole, you're gonna have to cut one. If you do have to cut one, what I recommend is to go to SuperATV.com. We'll drop the link in the description for the instructions on the rocker switch. It's a template that you can print off, trim it out, and then lay it on the panel that you desire to put the rocker switch on. Before you cut any holes, always make sure that you check behind the panel. Make sure there's nothing back there that's going to interfere with your wiring or your switch, or make sure there's not any factory wiring back there. If you would like a further in-depth explanation on how to do this, I'm going to drop a link in the description. Definitely check it out on how to cut a rocker switch. We have it on TikTok and on YouTube, so definitely check that video out. We're gonna go ahead and get ours traced and cut, and then we'll be right back with you. All right, so now that we have our hole cut in our dash, what we're gonna do is find the connector that has the yellow and the green. This is gonna be going to the turn signal switch. This switch here will go to the horn and the hazard. So we're gonna feed this through. So now that we're making the connections to the control box, we wanna make sure that the C1 is on top and the C2 is on bottom. Then go in the cab, plug in the rocker switch to the harness. We're not gonna pop them in the dash yet. We're gonna test everything first. We got it clicking to the right. Check the left, just check the hazards. We'll go back here and check the rear. Those are working as well. Excellent, let's check the horn. What we're gonna do now is go ahead and insert the rocker switches into the dash while they're connected. Just like so. So now what you're gonna do is go through, tie up all the wiring using the provided zip ties. Make sure everything's away from any moving components, anything that's gonna get hot and not gonna get smashed in the bed. Once you've done that, reinstall all the components that you've previously removed, and that's all there is to it to install SuperATV's auto stop turn signal kit on this Honda Pioneer 1000. Be sure to check the description below to pick yours up today. Also the additional resources that we mentioned in this video. While you're there, drop a like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.